Aspect Fellowship Journey by Keep It Human. Thanks to the Aspect Success Program 2020, Keep It Human was established as a social venture spinning out 20 years of Ricardo Climent's academic experience. In 2021, we continue to be Aspect's ambassadors thanks to their Innovation Fellows program, through which we have been reflecting on the work that we have done so far, sharing it with the community and taking a step further to develop it. Here are some highlights of our Aspect Fellowship journey. Musicians are entrepreneurs.
Como he dicho, los músicos yo creo que somos emprendedores. Somos de los creadores que más emprendedores somos. Siempre lo hemos sido. Y está en nuestro ADN. Desde crear ensambles musicales, desde grupos, con orquestas, todo tiene un modelo de negocio que está aprobado o no, pero que nosotros hemos ido descubriendo a golpe de sufrir, poniendo programas juntos, viendo cómo reaccionan las audiencias y pivotando un poco todas esas ideas.
Sharing the experience of our first video game with students at the AV Fest 2021, Eastern DC.
Yes, thank you, Janice, and thank you to the conference and organizers. I was delighted to already have some input on Wednesday when we had the workshops, presenting the game and meeting all your students and so on and so forth.
Expanding the research from academia to the social innovation space.
I felt that somehow this is what I've been doing for the last 10, 20 years. And I was thinking, well, as a result of the pandemic, maybe the situation where we are living in a very strange reality that has become the virtuality has become the new reality, as Zizek said. I was thinking that I should take this research to another level. And then I created this idea of expanding the research from the academic space to the social innovation. How? By creating a spin-out company that, using this technology and this concept, will solve current social challenges. I know it sounds very ambitious, sounds very pretentious perhaps, but this is what we've been trying to do and Keep It Human, which is the company.
Arts and culture as a driver and technology as a tool for social change.
If I had to take a few words from what Nicolas said, is that yes, it is this value of the arts and the culture what should drive society and all the way around. Because at the end of the day, what means to be humans is this part of the unknown, the where humans really feel themselves represented, re-embodied, whatever you want to call it. And this has to do with our ancient and all understandings of ourselves. And I think this is basically in the arts and the culture. And I see more the science and technology as possibly all the devices that grow around ourselves. But I don't see them at the core of what we do. Including in my own practice, I don't see technology as being at the core of what I do. I see creativity, and I see engaging with audiences through, I don't know, something that they can feel identified with, that triggers something inside them. Technology is just a mediation tool that you need to do that.
The importance of developing sustainable forms of income with long-term goals for social enterprises to create meaningful solutions.
So I think one of the things that worries me is that a lot of the interventions that I'm seeing are very, very short term. They tackle an immediate problem, but ultimately are just flushing money down the toilet because they're not really looking ahead to what the bigger problems are. And I suppose, you know, as part of that sort of long-term planning and the solutions that we're trying to create, whether that's, you know, embedding good messages in, say, video games for young people, or it's trying to use you know, video gaming or, you know, fintech to create sustainable forms of income for social enterprises, that all of that needs to be thinking not 2 years ahead, 3 years ahead, but 10 years ahead, and making sure that there's sufficient resources to support the growth and development of those solutions, and not just doing the easy thing all the time, which ultimately is a waste of money and isn't going to create the impact that I think we are all hoping to see reflected in a better world that we're working towards.
Giving young generations the tools to take action.
Most people in the space are trying to create more awareness about these things. Maybe young people don't need more awareness. What they need is solutions. They need is to have the right tools to close this gap between the things they really care and the actions. So they don't need to check every time they order a pizza whether the ingredients produce carbon, or you know, whether they travel the world just to be on your plate. So meaning that it's not that I don't care about things. I care about what younger people and younger generations care about. I want to know what they care about because I want to work on the solutions. Not the solutions to solve the problems, but the solutions to make these tools more accessible to them. That makes sense. And this connects with more or less everything you just said.
Opportunities in the democratization of banking. Will they benefit customers or corporations?
I would say sometime in 2016 or 17, I heard one of the chief executive of one of the large banks saying that they don't worry about, you know, fintech startups entering the banking industry, but what they worry about is what happens if the large high-tech firms enter the industry. And that's no more a worry. What we have seen is that the Apples and Facebooks and Googles of the world have already started entering the banking industry. So, which is a huge change. So on the one side, we are seeing a democratization of banking industry where, you know, there is more and more competition, more and more options for the consumers, more and more technological developments. And on the other side, I'm also seeing a trend which is now making inroads, is that large technology firms are entering the space, and there is going to be some consolidation in the future. But my hope is that the consolidation will still be in favor of the consumers and less in the favor of the large firms, which remains to be seen.
Small businesses in the gaming industry can also have a positive impact.
I think the same could be said for a lot of different indie gamers who think that their games might not have an impact on somebody. For instance, like Timby World, small game, you know, not affiliated with PlayStation or Atari or Nintendo or anything like that. But now in this age, it can reach out to all kinds of different people, can get all kinds of different ideas out there.
Positive behavior modeling through video games.
Because currently, you know, it's kind of common knowledge among parents that shooting games and games with violence will have possibly negative effects on kids, but there's so many more positive implications that could be taken from games, as well as positive social interaction, positive behavior modeling, like I mentioned earlier, with positive behaviors being modeled in gaming, and visual spatial skills with VR, even physical health with exercise and nutrition. It's pretty cool.
Tracing donations to build trust in charities.
I think one of the key takeaways I've sort of got from this kind of comes back around to this visibility angle, that if you want people to donate, then you need to sort of give them the visibility that what they're doing, they know what the donations are going for, that they know that what they're doing is making a positive change and is actually sort of being used, because I think you need to be able to motivate people to make these changes. You want to motivate people donate and support various charities, and through gamifying it is obviously a key part of that. But so is introducing the visibility that the money that they'll be, whether or not they're spending it, how are they spending it?
Breaking down problems in the context of interdisciplinary collaborations.
I think my takeaway is that how you can break down the problem into specific context, and then it becomes more straightforward to at least understand the problem. Because many times what happens is we talk about big abstract things, but until we contextualize them, we might not be able to solve them. So for example, I mean, when we started talking about universal healthcare today, probably it wasn't going into a specific direction, but the moment we started talking about specific India context and breaking it down even further, I think it gave us good direction to solve it. So that's one of the takeaways I have from the session.
Transformative arts, bringing together communities and contributing to solving social challenges.
Okay, we think art has a highly transformative power, and we could not get to our community without using art as an excuse to trigger reflections and actions towards possible problem solving.
We face a lot of challenges as a society, but also we are trying to make a contribution with using our main values to promote this change in our place.
We are probably far from solving all the problems, but if we can trigger a reflection in one person, I think that's a big of a change for us in the context that we are in.
Lessons from Benny in agribusiness, music, and community leadership.
At the core of what we do are a group of 125 change makers, and I just wanted to give you a few examples of what those change makers kind of look like, what they do, who they are. So this is a guy called Benny, and he's based in the north of Uganda in the Acholi region. This is an area that's faced 3 decades of civil conflict in which 2 million people were internally displaced across Uganda, and Benny and his family were some of those people. And Benny, being a young person kind of connected to music from, I guess, elsewhere in the world, was very much influenced by hip hop. And when he returned to his community in Kitgum, he decided that he wanted to make change with kind of what he had around him. And that was land, and that was also to use in some way music and the arts to make change. So Benny created a hip hop agribusiness. So he has essentially a hip hop farm. He keeps bees and chickens and grows produce. And the profit that he makes from the produce that he sells enables him to go into the local prison, where he delivers hip hop workshops and music workshops with people in the prison, who in turn, after they leave the prison, they end up not reoffending and finding Benny and joining his kind of community group. And he's now established a cultural space within Place of War in Kitgum, where he delivers lots of different types of arts programs and projects.
Making the abstract tangible and communicating complex ideas through art.
Sometimes personally, I believe indeed like storytellings or something like more close to art format, it touches people more in an emotional level. And I think our brain indeed function in that way. So even if you hear like all kind of a statistic, I tell you, okay, 40 million people today are modern slavery, and I tell you like 0.2% every year of survivors are being helped. All these numbers, it's very hard for our mind to really process. However, if I show you a testimonies, or show you a piece of music or art, that's sometimes in the end easier to really make sure that kind of decisions are taken forward by all the decision makers. So the short answer is yes, that definitely we are very happy to, open to collaborate with different organizations. Thank you.
Toward a synergetic business model, connecting financial sustainability with altruistic goals and social responsibility.
And I think in Keep It Human, it will be the same. We are not thinking about planting one timber wall here or there, but building the infrastructure, the connections, the systems, and the thinking is to provide the base ground for other projects to just pop in and all people to say, well, I don't know, I've been working I'm an AI engineer in Google. I'm one of the best in the world. I prefer to work in your organization because it really means something to me. Then I would say, well, we just made it. So trying to convince people that we have the ecosystem for them to get together with others and start thinking that what we are trying to solve is not like a one-off problem, but work at the intersections of highly complex subject areas, and then hopefully make a difference to just people behind these issues.